kind of memories did pulling the pints in there, what kind of memories did that bring back for you?
Well, the whole atmosphere, being part of the staff on the other side of the bar was quite it's quite a memory. I mean, I spent 10 years of my life doing that work, putting myself through university, and you know, it's a fun atmosphere, and it was fun actually.
This is your second time in this area in a week. Why are you spending so much time here?
Well, I've been in the north. I came to Northern Ontario second day of my campaign. This is my first time in North Bay during the campaign period. But it's because the Northerners have been, I think, neglected by the provincial Liberals. They're feeling like they need to see a change, and I think we're offering the kind of change that will put Northerners first. For example, our Buy Ontario policy is one that would have prevented the Ontario Northland contract from leaving this community. So we're here to say we have a strong platform for Northerners. It's called Respect for the North, and we believe that it will make a change, a positive change for Northern Ontario.
And Ms. Horvath, can you please comment on, well, when you're meeting candidates from riding to riding, and you commented on a comment to say to all of them, you say stop riding on Jack Layton's name and rest in peace. Can you just comment on what you meant by that?
Well, what I've been saying to my team, and what I'm confident that my team is doing, is putting our campaign front and center. We're putting our message to Ontario voters front and center, and certainly people are going to talk about Jack. We're going to be using Jack in some of our materials. That's I think a natural thing, but it's only going to be in the context of our platform and what we're offering to Ontario voters being front and center in the conversation.
I want to go back to Buy Ontario. Do you not open a big can of worms based on the fact that the U.S. is saying buy U.S. only this week, and Canada is crying out because it's not fair trade? Do you not open that can of worms for Northern Ontario and Ontario by doing that?
Well, I think you would be surprised to know exactly how much other jurisdictions are having by local policies. And I think it's quite all right to make sure that our tax dollars are putting Ontarians back to work. We've suffered massive job losses, particularly in manufacturing, and I'm looking forward to getting more Ontario goods, more Ontario workers to work with our own tax dollars as we purchase various goods and services locally.
Any other questions?
You know, it's a very volatile election. Anything can happen. We've got a great candidate. He's experienced. We've got a very motivated team, lots of energy, and so I think on October 6th we're going to see a lot of changes in Ontario, and certainly I expect we'll see some kind of change in North Bay, and hopefully we'll see it change orange for a change.
Who paid for the pints?
Oh, it's my team. My team pays for the pints. Absolutely.
And are you comfortable with candidates bringing up the Mike Harris issue, even though it's approaching 10 years ago? Or is that appropriate for this election?
Well, I think it's not so much about the history as it is about the future. Ontarians want to know that there's hope for the future, that Ontario can be a stronger province, that more people can find work, and that life can become affordable for folks again. You know, there are people sitting at that bar when I was serving up the pitchers, a couple of women talking to me about the fact that life is getting unaffordable, that their bills are going up and their paychecks are going down. And I said to the one woman, that's my speech. This is what I'm saying all across Ontario. And she basically just made the same comments as I've heard over and over and over again. It doesn't have to be that way. We can have the kind of change that puts people first for a change, and that's what New Democrats are offering. So I would prefer to talk about the opportunities to meet the challenges facing Ontarians and come up with solutions that make life better. The history lesson, I think Ontarians would rather look to the future than worry so much about what happened in the past.
Can you talk about your affordable housing plan with relation to Northern Ontario?
Sure. I mean, we know that in the north there's a difficulty with finding affordable housing, so we have plans for a housing benefit that basically helps people who are paying large amounts of money for their basic shelter to have a bit of a break in that. We also want to build more affordable housing, and we have other affordability plans as well. We want to see, of course, the HST. If we were elected, we would get the HST off home heating, hydro, start taking it off of gas. We also have plans around the minimum wage to bring it to $11 an hour and then tie it to the rate of inflation. So the issue of affordable housing, of poverty, is something that there's many pieces to that puzzle, and we're determined to start taking some practical steps to reduce the amount of poverty in Northern Ontario as well as the rest of the province.
Talk about the youth vote.
Last question, please.
And what you would say to the youth if you had their ear.
Well, it's interesting because we've been working hard to engage young people in this campaign through social media and other methods, and I've been quite pleased by the kinds of campaigns that I've been attending and the numbers of young people that are there. I was earlier in Sault Ste. Marie, and there were all kinds of young people in that campaign office. I've been recently to Thunder Bay, young people in those campaign offices. It's actually quite impressive. And I think if there's one thing that young people should probably think about is that by voting you can have a say and you can actually make a mark on your future. And I think that for a long time young people haven't really thought that they were being paid attention to very much in electoral politics. I think it's changed now. Yesterday I was at a university campus, was that just yesterday? At a university campus in downtown Toronto, talking about freezing tuition fees to make it easier for young people to obtain their post-secondary studies. These are all things that are aimed towards youth. Our jobs plan is a plan that basically says instead of blank checks for corporations, we are going to reward those companies that are hiring people and that are investing in Ontario. So you get the tax cut for a job. You create a job, you get a tax cut instead of the blank check with no strings attached to companies that are shipping jobs other places. But those tax cuts are for everybody. They're for men, they're for women, they're for young people, they're for new Canadians. We think that this will make a big difference to help young people get that first job, because we're helping employers to open up spaces of employment in their workplaces.